Hi, and welcome back to Crunchy Things.
On the side, I'm Megan.
I am Tammy.
And today we are talking about Godzilla, King of the Monsters. So before we jump in, we wanted to do a brief description of the film. I think that's a good starting place for these videos. If you like the idea, give us a thumbs up. If not, give us a thumbs down. Or just comment. We'd like to hear from you guys.
Yes.
So Godzilla, King of the Monsters really asks that question, how far is too far when it comes to preserving the human race? And the story starts 5 years after the original Godzilla in 2014.
We say original, and really it's a remake of the original. There's 33 films.
Yeah, and counting.
Latest Monsterverse.
Yeah, latest film in the Monsterverse. This is the third one in the Monsterverse. And the film starts 5 years after the original, where they are studying newly found Titan monsters. And the film starts with the hatching of a larva monster. And at the same time that this larva is hatching, a eco-terrorist breaks into the facility, kills everybody inside except for a scientist and her daughter. And the film jumps off from there.
So, I really like the premise and the setup of this film. It does just drop us right into the story. There's no questions. We know exactly where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, there were a few things that I had problems with in terms of the story. It started a whole bunch of little subplots and then kind of seemed to drop them.
Here and there, like hot potato.
Yeah. And so that it kind of was hard for me to feel like I could connect to some of the characters. And unfortunately, some of the characters I was cheering for, I liked the actor as opposed
to the character.
The character. And I think that is a failing. And I'm not sure if that's a failing of the script, because I haven't read the original script, or if it was just some of those scenes were dropped in the editing room. But there was some things that just was like, it felt like they were trying too many things to set stuff up, but it didn't like follow through, and that was just really frustrating because I wanted to connect. It just
it failed.
It did. No, again, it's a monster film, so yay for monster films, but
right. But a good film connects with people on multiple levels, and this one just kind of felt like it didn't do it very well in certain cases.
Yeah. In some places it did really well, and some places it was just like...
Not so good. The film seemed to me a little on the preachy side, because it really was a commentary on what we're doing to this planet, and the steps we might need to take to fix it.
Right. And
it just...
Instead of giving us, like, hope for the future, that eventually humanity will come to its senses, it was just like,
humans are too stupid. They don't know what to do.
And we'll just wipe them all out.
Yeah, why not? One fell swoop.
Unfortunately, sometimes it feels like that's where we're headed today,
yeah.
But if you're watching a movie that's kind of got that underlying element...
I don't think it should have been a monster film that did that, personally.
No.
I mean, if you want to make a commentary, great, make a commentary, but make sure it resonates with your audience. It doesn't come across as preachy.
Yeah, that was the big thing. Because I wanted the monsters to win, which isn't always necessarily
a bad thing.
Well, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but when you're rooting for the bad guy to win because some of your main characters are a little annoying, that's not necessarily good.
Well, let's just jump into the characters, because I felt that there were some characters that were really good. Like Millie Bobby Brown. Loved her. She was a rebel with a cause.
Yes.
You know, she knew what was going on. And we're trying to go around any spoilers we may accidentally say. So I apologize if we sound a little vague, but when it comes to her character, she was very much a trusting her parents. But at the same time, at the very beginning, you see her questioning her mother. And, I mean, it doesn't really go anywhere at that very beginning. You don't really see the payoff until towards the end, where she decides to make her own decisions.
Right.
And what she needs to do to fix the situation that was created.
Right. But I enjoyed her character, and I enjoyed the performance. So
she's a great actress. I really can't wait to see what she continues to do.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the actors who played her parents, I like both of these actors. It's Vera Farmiga and Kyle Chandler.
I felt that Kyle, the actor Kyle Chandler, his character I felt was probably one of the stronger of, like, with purpose is what I mean by that. I don't mean the strongest character in the film.
No, but he definitely knew what he wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
However, the actor playing that role kind of was just one note, just very surface level, not really going in depth. And while the mom's character, Vera Farmiga's character, who played Dr. Emma Russell, who's Millie Bobby Brown's mom in the film, she definitely had more depth of character, but she didn't, you could see that her struggles were going through, but she didn't commit to anything. She was not completely for her daughter and not completely for her other mission that she felt she had to complete.
Exactly.
It was kind of wishy-washy.
I agree. And it was kind of sad to see because while I am against movies about possession and things like that, I don't really like those kinds of scary movies. I have seen The Conjuring. I thought she's a great actress. Amazing job in that film. But in this film, I was left dissatisfied with her character.
Yeah. And again, I'm not sure if that's a problem with
the script
or the directing or the performance choices
that she made.
And which is why I felt so probably disconnected.
I loved what's his name?
Charles Dance.
Love him. Plays an amazing villain in everything that he's ever played a villain in, and I love him as a villain. But
he has that certain je ne sais quoi about him that makes you just go,
oh, he's
you're a bad guy.
We'll beep that
out. But he has
that quality about him.
Yeah, he kind of is channeling, not gonna lie, he's kind of channeling Alan Rickman, Die Hard, Hans Gruber. He's got that certain swagger.
I like that word, swagger. That's a great word for this.
Yes. So he was fun to watch.
Definitely.
It was cool.
I loved, what's his name?
Ken Watanabe?
Yes, Ken Watanabe. I love that you just remember these names. Like, I'm having a hard time today with my brain.
It happens.
A little scrambled.
Ken Watanabe's character really had a fulfilling arc, because we did see him in the 2014 version, and you see his passion for Monarch, and doing the research and connecting with the legends of these monsters, but truly feeling that Godzilla is more than he seems.
I agree. I think that with his arc, I mean, he stayed true to his course. He was true to the inner self of the character. And I think that in a lot of films like this, you don't get to see that, because it's all about the
spectacle.
It's all about the spectacle, and it's all about these characters doing a 180 with how they feel about these characters. But he stayed true to what he believed from the beginning.
Yeah, his arc was a fulfilling arc, comparatively speaking, right, to some of the other characters. Mm-hmm. However, that being said, I enjoyed many of the other supporting characters' performances.
We had a couple of actors come back in as the same characters they were in the first film.
Ken Watanabe's Dr. Ishiro.
Sally Hawkins.
The assistant.
Was the assistant. And David
Strathern.
He played the general.
Admiral.
Yeah. And the Admiral, he was more of just a supporting character. But it was nice to see a familiar face.
So there was a few other character actors. The lady who played the Colonel, Alicia Hines, Aisha Hines.
I love her.
She's such a great actress.
She has this presence on film that you want to follow her.
You're drawn in, and I really enjoyed her performance.
Definitely.
And actually, for those who follow Broadway, Anthony Ramos, who originated the role of John Lawrence and Philip Hamilton in the musical Hamilton, was in
Hamilton.
I might be slightly obsessed. Not as obsessed as my friend who's going to go see it for the third time.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. I'm not at all jealous. Anyway.
Let's jump into the cinematography a little bit. Because we have so many things to talk about. I want to say something about the visual quality of this film. It was stunning because we could actually see things.
Yes.
Better lighting.
That was
it'll do wonders.
Well, it's not even that they chose. It was the editing choices that were made in the original or the 2014 version, where everything was really hard to see. It was dark.
I mean, I understand where they were coming from with that. They were taking more of the Jaws route with not showing Godzilla. Just letting the anticipation build.
But there was things like we couldn't see details because it was so dark. And I remember seeing it in the theater and going, okay,
what's going on?
Like it's too dark to actually get any details, and that is a real problem for cinematography. And this one we could at least see it.
Yes, and the CGI and special effects on Mothra.
Gorgeous.
I love Mothra. Mothra is now my favorite of the Titans.
Yeah.
Very, very... They didn't portray Mothra as a malevolent monster. They very much portrayed it as a beautiful creature.
And they had a symbiotic relationship with Godzilla.
Mm-hmm. And I loved that relationship. I think it was
fun.
It was fun.
It's not a relationship that you're expecting in a monster film, where two monsters of completely different species are actually in that symbiotic relationship. Mm-hmm. Another thing that we both found completely stunning was when Mothra became out of the chrysalis.
In the waterfall, the wings just going out. Oh, it was beautiful.
Stunning.
And
stunning.
The way that they decided to use the not fluorescent lighting, bioluminescence was gorgeous. And I think that they did an amazing job on all of the Titans that had the bioluminescence.
Yeah. The Titans, it was really cool to see a wide variety of Titans. Ones that I was like, oh, I had no idea. And I remember seeing as a kid, I think Godzilla versus Mothra and some of the other monsters. And
the ones with the dude in the rubber suit.
Yeah. They had a really good homage to that. Mm-hmm. It was really a lot of fun. So the monsters definitely felt real.
And one thing that I really loved is seeing one of the scientists pull up all of these legends and lore and all of these different depictions throughout history of these Titans and what they were like and the relationship that the humans at the time had with them. And I really loved the discussion of how the Chinese see dragons. There are no dragon slayers. They have a more symbiotic relationship with dragons in Chinese culture. I think that they went out of their way to depict Ghidorah, the three-headed titan, as more of the Eastern culture, because they could have gone more Game of Thrones with it, and I am really glad that they decided not to, because it stood out from the crowd of monster movies. So the soundtrack was just amazing. It built up, and you could feel it building every time there was a reveal or a twist or something like that in the film. But it was Mothra's song that really resonated with me, because it was ethereal almost.
It captured the wonder of that particular creature.
Exactly. And with it being portrayed that way, it made me think more about what we see when we look at the animal kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a little off tangent here, but we always look at things and we see danger. There are very few people in this world who will look at something and see past that. And I think that this movie really explored that, and what opening your way of thinking can really do.
Yeah. I loved the fact that every time the monsters spoke with their roars and everything like that, you could feel it right here, and it just...
it rattled your ribcage.
And it resonated through the entire theater. I thought the sound design was spectacular.
Agreed. I think that this film was very fast-paced. I think that there really was no lag time. It kept you moving from one instance to the next. There really wasn't anything to speak about that way.
Well, the pacing of once it starts, it's much like there's no
Stopping it?
There's no stopping it, because once they set into motion the awakening of the king of the three... Ghidorah, that one. Everything else came awake at the same time, and so they are forced to fight these creatures in a very short amount of time.
Right. And I mean, the movie is pretty fast-paced. It goes boom, boom, boom. But at the same time, as it was going boom, 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 it was dropping plots. So
and that's where I found myself completely aggravated, and I feel like it was some of those plots that would have allowed me to connect to some of the other characters in the script.
And my only hope here is that these dropped plot lines are going to be picked up in Godzilla vs. Kong, or Kong vs. Godzilla. I don't remember the exact order of that, but I'm really hoping that they do that, because it would just be a disservice.
Yeah.
I think to the moviegoers.
Yeah.
To see this potential just dropped for no reason.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there was a reason that things ended up on the cutting room floor, but at the same time, if you're going to put anything in the movie about it, you got to give us a payoff, you know?
Yeah. It was like, there was a storyline with Ji Zhang's character. She's a great actress. I loved her and everything I've seen her in.
Wasn't she in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon?
Yes. Okay. And House of Flying Daggers and Memoirs of the Geisha and just all kinds of things. I love her. And in her they were throwing out these little bits and pieces of her character, and I wanted to see more from her, and yet it felt like they started and then just stopped. And that was really freaking aggravating to me.
Whereas when I went into the theater, I went in and I took out all of my critical thinking, and I just put it in the popcorn bucket, because I did not use it at all during the film. It wasn't until we were discussing this after that I really started to analyze it more, and I find myself struggling with that sometimes. To be honest to you guys, is I get so caught up in the story,
and often I do too, but
you have to learn to look at things with a critical eye, and I'm working on that.
I really do try, when I watch things, especially for the first time, I try and go in and not be that critic, but when
something stands out, it stands out.
Yeah, and it's just that annoying drip water on your forehead, where it's just a tiny bit, but
it's annoying.
It's annoying.
Well, it may sound like we've been ragging on the film. I want to say that for a monster flick...
Oh, it was great.
It was a great monster flick. It's definitely going on my playlist for that, because there's just some days where you want to see the big monsters, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
I think that it was a fun way to spend the morning, just to go see this movie. I mean, it's nothing to write home about, but it's not a bad movie, and honestly, I felt a little generous. I gave it 4 stars.
I gave it 3.5, because I could see the potential, and that's where it was just like, oh, if you had just
done a little tiny bit more.
Yeah.
Here, I'll help you.
Yeah.
But she's a filmmaker, so she has this inherent desire to do that.
to make things better. But we did enjoy it. It's one of those films that's like, it's a popcorn film, curl up and do a monster marathon. And it was, again, visually stunning, orally amazing.
Very much so. I don't recommend you do, like, a whole series marathon, maybe just from the 2014 movie, because that would be a long time to watch all 33 movies.
But if you're in the mood to go see all of where it started from, it's not necessarily a bad idea.
No.
And
They're just good movies.
Yeah, it's fun. And I may do that. We'll see. Because I know there were some I've seen, but it's been a long time.
I remember Mechagodzilla.
Oh yeah, Mechagodzilla.
Oh yeah. There are so many things that we could talk about, but I feel like this video's gotten pretty long, so let's go ahead and wrap it up. One thing we do want to recommend you do is stay after the credits.
Oh, absolutely.
Do it. But that's it for today's video. We hope you guys enjoyed it. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click the little bell notification icon to get notified when we post new videos. We do post every Thursday.
Yep. So we will see you next time, and we'll see you in the theater.
Bye!